Hello, my friends. Welcome to a special edition of the Party Nerds Podcast, coming to you live from a secret location high in the Hollywoodland Hills area of Los Angeles, California. I'm Richard Gabai, joined by my partner in crime, Robert Carradine. Please, we'd like to remind you, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Bobby, how are you, man?
Just right, man. How are you holding up?
You know, considering we work in a business that many people aspire to work in and we've made a living again, I think I'm doing pretty great.
Yeah, we're lucky.
Things happen in our business often, and we made a show like this before of our true Hollywood stories. So we thought we would visit some more of the true Hollywood stories. We work in show business and things happen that are just kind of remarkable.
One story that comes to mind right off the bat, because you just reminded me of it. There was a motion picture I made called Orca the Killer Whale, starring Richard Harris and Charlotte Rampling, and an ingenue named Bo Derek.
Bo Derek.
So I get the part, to my utter amazement. I believe it was an offer, thanks to my old-time agent, Meyer, Michigan, to whom I was introduced by Richard Dreyfuss, if you can believe that. So anyhow, the first location is in Canada, a little known area up there called Newfoundland. That's how they pronounce it, Newfoundland. So I get up to the location.
Wait a minute, Newfoundland.
Yeah, as opposed to Newfoundland.
Got it.
It's Newfoundland. So I get up to location, I go out to the set, and you know, like most films, the set, you're waiting around for a really long time. So I'm waiting around, and off in the distance I see a blonde girl, and she appears to be quite fetching. And I said to the closest crew guy I could see, I said, "Who's that?" You know, that's Bo Derek. I go, "Oh, why is she sitting all by herself?" The guy says, "Well, she just got married, and I think, you know, she's, you know, just keeping to herself." I said, "Well, I'm going to go talk to her." Big mistake. I go talk to Bo. She's a really nice person. We're talking, and you know, the location in Canada lasted for 4 weeks. So we're riding to the hotel in the end of the day, back to the set at the beginning of the next day, and there's a rapport, and we like each other's company, and it's really cool. She has not discussed her husband, John Derek, at all.
Right.
Okay, cut to Malta. Canada's over. We go to Malta now. I get to Malta. It turns out she was there before I was there, and I checked into my hotel room, and there was a message from Bo Derek. I thought, wow, that's really cool. So I called her up. She was staying in a little, like, B&B, Airbnb, though they weren't called that back then.
Right.
And I called her up, and we had dinner, and, you know, we went for a couple of walks together, and my phone rings in a few days, and it's somebody I don't know. I go, "Hello, who's this?" "John Derek." "Robert?" I go, "Yes." He goes, "I understand you've been seeing my wife." I said, "Wait a second. We had dinner, and that was it, John." He says, "Yeah, really? Well, I understand that you called her." I said, "John, how could I have called her? I don't even know where she was staying. I got to the hotel. She left her number here." "She called you?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, thank you." Click. Oh, man. I knew this was bad. I talked to Richard Harris about it. Great English actor. He says, "Robert, you stupid son of a bitch, you never tell on a woman." Well, one thing leads to another, and John Derek calls back and he says, "Okay, I told Bo what you told me, and she said you called her. One of you is lying. Now, if she's lying, I'm going to divorce her and kill you. If you're lying, I'm just going to beat the crap out of you."
Oh.
"Okay, John." I'm scrambling now. Let me be completely honest with you. I called her, okay? I was just afraid to tell you that. She's totally innocent in this. It's all me. He goes, "Well, now, there, doesn't that feel better?" And I go, "Yeah, it feels fine, John." He goes, "Well, now I won't have to bend you over my knee and spank you." Click. So we shoot all the stuff in Malta, and it's mid-afternoon, and I get to leave early because I got a plane to catch that night. And as I'm leaving the set, they had these little like caravan trailers that people haul behind their cars. Those were the dressing rooms. And I'm walking past those trailers, and I see Bo's trailer. And Bo's in the window, just happens to be in the window looking out. She sees me and she mouths the words, "Thank you." And I just went. So that's my Orca story.
Film at 11. We have to have Bo on this show. I want to find out who is telling the truth. Bo Derek, we'd like to have you on the Party Nerds Pop.
Let John Derek lie in rest.
Well, speaking of geniuses, you know, I've got one for you because, you know, as I openly admit, I made the beginning of my career. I made some films of many people's opinions, questionable content, but I was earning a living and I was having fun, right?
That's key.
Right, and so I finally started getting the opportunities to make a little bit better films, and I made a film called Pop Star, with 3 generations of pop stars, Aaron Carter, Leif Garrett, and David Cassidy. Fun cast, and then a star-studded rest of the cast. Tom Bosley, Stella Stevens. I mean, a really amazing ensemble.
Oh, that's amazing.
A New Line was releasing, and we screened it, and I can't remember the name of the theater, but on Hollywood Boulevard at one of those bitchin' old theaters, we had a premiere. And afterwards, some crew guys and my wife and I walked, you know, kind of across the street and down whatever that street is that Bordner's on.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Bordner's is a real famous bar in Hollywood. And we walked into there and just kind of walk in, and you know how you walk into the dark bar, you kind of take the minute to, at that time, smell the cigarette smoke.
Well, and let your eyes adjust.
And let your eyes adjust. And in the corner, I could see Quentin Tarantino was holding court. He had champagne, a bunch of glasses were out, a couple of people around, and I just kind of take my breath. And Tarantino looks over at me, he's like, towards me, not at me, in my opinion.
Right.
And he goes,
wow.
and I'm looking around, and I'm like, I look over my shoulder, I look back towards his group, and he's like, and I'm doing like this, and my wife like slaps me back. She goes, "That's Quentin Tarantino. He wants to talk to you." So I walk over there, and when I get to be like maybe 10 feet away, he goes, "You're Richard Gabai. You made Assault of the Party Nerds. There's 2 Assault of the Party Nerds." He goes, "You also made Vice Girls. I love Vice Girls. There's only 1 Vice Girls. There's 5 Vice Academies. And Vice Academy is a movie I have nothing to do with." And I was kind of like stumbling, and I said, "Well, you know, Vice Girls." And in Vice Girls, I directed it, and I developed the script with my friend Michael Baldwin. It's Charlie's Angels meets Pulp Fiction in 9 days on 16mm film.
Got it.
Okay? And I play a character named Quentin in the suit from Reservoir Dogs, you know, the black suit.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, you know, that character I play named Quentin, I go, that is not a parody, that's an homage. And he pounds on his chest, he goes, "It's love, 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 love." He pours me champagne, and I kind of calm me down a little bit. He proceeded to then interview me for 45 minutes about the films I was trying to forget, thinking that they were crap and I needed to put that all behind me. So, and I started to talk to him. I was like, you know, I just made a movie for New Line. It's called Pop Star. It has this, that. He goes, "How many days did you shoot Vice Girls in?" Like, you know, completely. Anyway, he was so kind and so attentive and so focused, and totally changed my own attitude towards my own career in many ways. And after talking to him for a while, then we drank champagne together. Then I walked back over to my friends, and then when I walked back, I was leaving, they were still there, like an hour and a half later or whatever, we were going home. Jessica and I had small kids at the time, and I looked back at him, and he goes. So ever since then, I had been waiting for the phone to ring. And you know the continuation of this story, right?
And I want you to continue it, because so far, the lead up to what you're about to say is great.
Okay, so first of all, that's enough of a story. Quentin Tarantino loved my movies, and he told me so, and I'm good, you know? But when you worked with Quentin on Django.
Yes, I did.
And you met with Quentin about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes, I did.
So he's obviously a big fan of Robert Carradine.
Well, I also met with him on Jackie Brown.
And Jackie Brown, okay.
But Michael Keaton wanted to play the part he was seeing me for. Needless to say, he went with the movie star.
Right. But the guy likes you. And I remember we had become buddies, and in like 2 days, we knew that there was the world premiere of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which we were all super excited to go see.
Couldn't wait to see
Couldn't wait to see it. And it was at the Chinese Theater, and it was a real old-fashioned premiere because, of course, it was a throwback to Another Time in Hollywood and
Yes.
the theme of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I said, Bobby, we should be going to that premiere. You're like, well, we should, but we're not invited. And I said, but that's only because he doesn't know we want to go. And you were like...
I said after that, I said, well, I'm sure it's completely sold out. Forget it.
And we weren't invited. I said, and I knew that you had you had the, like at the time, an email for his assistant or something.
Had the assistant's phone number and his phone number, but I think we called the assistant.
Right. We actually emailed the assistant.
Right, that's right. We did email
Right.
him. Okay.
And you said, and Bobby Carradine says, I don't want to be that guy to ask to go to the premiere. And I said, well, I want to be that guy.
So ask.
I wrote the email, dear whatever her name was. Hey, it's Bobby Carradine, and I know you're probably overbooked, but myself and my friend, actor-director Richard Gabai, would just love to come to the premiere if there's any room for us. No worries, ba-da-da. 5 minutes later, we get an email back. Quentin would love to have you both there. We go to the premiere of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
We take our picture in front of one of the posters.
Well, that was the big shot. You're a movie star, and my favorite new quote is, I'm one notch above complete obscurity. But when we went up to the publicist, and I'm thinking they're just going to hand us tickets or whatever, and it gives you the tickets, and then the publicist, said, the red carpet's over here, and I'm like, I'm going to watch Bobby walk the red carpet. Then she's like, Mr. Gabai gives me my tickets. Quentin would really appreciate it if you would walk the red carpet. And so you and I walked the red carpet at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think that's a pretty incredible story.
And especially, my reticence to even ask.
Yeah, I don't want to. He's met with you for 3 movies. He loves you.
No,
You're
I
in
know,
one of
but
his movies.
I feel like I don't want to be the squeaky wheel, But that's who gets the grease, and we got in.
My name is Squeaky Wheel.
Yes, sir. You did good. You did good. So
what else you got?
Well, I could talk about the audition for Lizzie McGuire.
Let's talk about the audition. Lizzie McGuire has millions of fans around the world, and they want to know.
They want to know. Okay, inquiring minds want to know. I get the script for Lizzie McGuire. I read it. It's good, but it's got a cartoon character, Lizzie, in it, and I'm thinking, that seems really dumb to me. But, who am I to judge? I could use the job. What the heck? So I go on in to meet Stan Rogo and the creator, Terry Minsky, and we sit down, and I read through the scene with them, and they're cracking up. I'm thinking, this isn't that funny. Why are they laughing? Oh, well. And they thanked me very much, and I left. And on my way out, I had my wife with me. There's a trash can. I took the sides, and I threw them in the trash can. I said, that ain't going anywhere. So I get back to the house, and the phone rings. It's my agent. They want you to come back in. I go, really? Huh, you sure? You go, yeah. Okay, well, what's the money like? And she tells me what the money is. And I'm going, I think we could do better, She says, okay, well, let me work on it. She works on it. She says, no, that's the money. I said, well, I don't know. Well, the next day, the breakdowns came out. The breakdowns are where all the jobs in Hollywood are at any given moment. The breakdowns come out, and it says, Lizzie McGuire, role of father, somebody resembling Robert Carradine.
Whoa.
I took a hint. Yeah, they didn't want me to come in. They just wanted me to accept the money. So I accepted it, and that's the audition, man.
Wow, and Sam Maguire forever.
Sam Maguire forever, yes. There's a bunch of 35 to 40-year-old women out there that know who Sam Maguire is, because they were all 15 when I made the show.
And maybe you weren't laughing at the jokes because you weren't a 14-year-old girl.
I was laughing at the jokes. We had jokes in there for adults, not just kids.
I was just talking about Popstar, and it reminded me of something which is hilarious. And talking about how, on the internet, it's really hard to find people that are complimenting you. It's really easy to find trolls. And on that movie Popstar, we shot a couple of days on the beach in Malibu. And actually my Steadicam operator, the great Katie Boyum, was my Steadicam operator, and we shot a whole kind of romantic, the romantic couple were Lana Austin and Aaron Carter of blessed memory were rollerblading and holding hands and doing homework, kind of montagey stuff. And then there was going to be a little sit-down conversation. And we're shooting, and I look out, and sometimes this happens in Malibu, right? There was a whole pod of dolphins, like 50 feet off the beach, like right there. And they were just kind of slowly playing. I go, Katie, grab the camera, run down to the beach. And I had this idea, instead of this sitting down and talking, we do a walk and talk.
Right.
With those dolphins in the background.
Right. Talk about production
Two
value.
dolphins, yeah. Anyway, so, we're losing light, and the producer's like, don't do it, just be safe. What if they flub a line? I go, they're not gonna flub a line. We run down there, and like one of the greatest moments on set, where it's just magical. Katie does a perfect move, the actors are finding their light. In between them, dolphins are jumping over. Anyway, I'm just so happy. And then people start talking on the internet. This movie is so overly corny, they even CGI'd dolphins in the background. Like, we couldn't have done that if we couldn't have afforded that.
Yeah, I know. It's
especially
amazing, isn't it?
in those days.
They can't wait to trash you for something. When we did The Revenge of the Nerds, I didn't even want to do it at first because I didn't want to be in a movie that had the word nerd in the title. But one thing led to another. I got the part, and I asked the studio, can you send me the location a couple of weeks early so I can get into character? Because I can't get into character in LA. I got my motorcycle, I got my Corvette, I got my guitars, I got women. It's not going to work. I need to be on location. They said, sure, yeah, fine, no problem. So they sent me the location 2 weeks early. I've only brought nerd clothing with me. That's it. I don't have jeans, nothing. I wouldn't come out of the hotel room for 3 days. I didn't want to be seen like a nerd. So finally I'm getting cabin fever, and I said, okay, I got to get out of here. So I get dressed and I go out, and nobody reacts. They just thought I was an engineering student. Okay, well, that's cool. So I've been there a week, and my co-star, Anthony Edwards, he shows up. I take him out and make him get a regular boy's haircut. He was very blonde at the time, so he looked like he was bald. He was all freaked out. He was going to get fired for cutting his hair. Anyhow, I convinced him that we should go rush the fraternities because it's rush week. We were there in March. And every single fraternity that we tried to rush, they knew the nerds were there. It was like it just wasn't going to happen until we got to like the last fraternity house. There's some guy out in front, monitoring who comes in and who goes out. And we told him, we want to rush. And he goes, I know who you guys are. He said, that's okay. It's okay. Our head guy, Biff, he's in the back. He doesn't know about the movie. Come on. So he takes us in the back, and Biff's in there dancing, just rocking out. And he's got on a pith helmet with 2 cans of beer, and the hoses are coming down, your classic college thing. And we go, Biff, these guys want to rush. And Biff is like, no way. That was it. We knew we'd done our homework.
And you knew that there was really a reality-based film, that those nerds could not get into a fraternity.
Exactly. They'd have to start their own.
Revenge of the Nerds is an art film. It's authentic. It's method.
Yeah. Now, if you want to see it, get the DVD, because it's not streaming anywhere on the planet. Sorry.
That'll change. And around, as we know, Revenge of the Nerds was a huge influence on me. And the second film I made was called Virgin High. And by the time I made it, it ended up being released by Columbia Pictures, which is another hilarious story.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. $150,000 in 9 days on 35 millimeter finished to stereo answer print.
Oh my God.
But, and 21st Century Films was the distributor, and they gave us the $150,000. They flew me out to Cannes, to the Cannes Film Festival, to sell it. And I literally was the guy, I carried the film print. And a 35 millimeter film print, it's big and heavy.
Yeah.
Like that was my carry-on.
But there's 2 cans, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I carried them on in the back of the airplane, and with the seat that wouldn't recline. And I'm in my shorts, and I walk into the Carlton Hotel, literally like running away from my landlord because I'm 2 days late on my rent. Walking into the Carlton Hotel, which is this beautiful hotel on the beach in Cannes, and there's like this I don't want to exaggerate, but absolutely 5-foot by 25-foot picture of me, Virgin High.
Wow.
Right? Like, oh, wow, this is a thing, you know? Then I gave the print to whoever I was, and they didn't even get me my own room. I was sleeping on a sofa bed in like one of the salesman's room.
That is really, really poor, man.
However, they did this thing though. They were masters of press. They were masters of publicity, and they said, you know, Richard, you're going to come down the elevator at 2 p.m. and wear your nicest clothes. And I had like one pair of long pants and like one decent shirt because I packed like a backpack and whatever.
Yeah.
Come down the elevator doors open. The lobby is full of screaming teenage French girls.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm signing autographs. And that day in the Reporter, it was either the Reporter, whatever the Screen Daily, whatever they did in Cannes.
Right, exactly. Special edition.
Full page ad. Hollywood's hottest comic actor, Richard Gabai, is in Cannes today only. And you know, all that stuff. And then they put me out on the terrace of the Carlton, and the terrace, you've been there probably. Yeah. You know, it's right on the beach. You're looking out on the Croisette.
Yes.
And the beach and all that sort of stuff. And I was doing back-to-back interviews all day. And next to me was, at the next table, was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wow.
And I think he was promoting Terminator 2, whatever it was in 1990. And so here's like this $150,000 movie and a completely unknown guy sitting next to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And those days, you know, the publicity was everything. So all the press was going from him to me. And we were just doing interviews all day long, talking to Arnold as if I'm his peer.
Wow.
And the other weird thing about, France in general, you know, I don't know, they're not big on ice.
No.
And the Carlton Hotel is, you know, pretty high end, or I might say a little snooty, you know?
Yeah.
And I was sitting there for a while, and I was like, oh, you know, I'd like a Coke. It was really hot. And they bring me like one of those little bottles of Coke.
Right.
And a little glass with 1 cube in it. And like, I'm talking to a reporter, and by the time I'm gonna drink
the cube's gone.
I'm asked, garçon. He was like, Anyway, so I drank the fairly warm Coke. Then I kept, you know, then it was like a few hours, and I needed like, I don't know, 4 or 5 of those. And then they brought me the bill to sign for it, right? And I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, I think it was literally even then hundreds of dollars.
Like more than 100?
Like $175, and I signed it.
For 5 Cokes.
Right, and Arnold Schwarzenegger goes, everyone in LA will say you have a $200 a day Coke habit. And that's the truth.
That's a great story, man.
It's the truth.
Yeah,
and
man.
I did, you know, just a few years ago, I got to work with Arnold again on an educational film, an underwater film with Jean-Michel Cousteau.
This is a good story.
He did the narration.
I remember this one.
Really, I don't remember anything other than it was great to do. Maybe you can remind me, because I forgot. My daughter just reminded me when I worked with him, I took a great photo. I completely forgot about Cannes.
Well, I just remember that.
I forgot to tell him, hey, in 1990, you know,
Yeah.
completely forgot about it. I was just directing, and Mr. Schwarzenegger, he told me I could call him Governor or Arnold. I called him Governor because I liked it. He was
But
no
I just
longer the
remember
governor.
that you told me you were kind of nervous.
Yeah.
And then you met him, and everything was cool. He was cool.
Oh, yeah. He was a little, you know, he wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing.
Right.
And as soon as he realized that I was fairly competent, no, he was great. He was great. I called him Mr. He goes, Governor or Arnold? He was no longer the governor. I called him Governor because that was cool. That was very cool. I wish I remembered. I hope I get to meet him again just to relive that whole Cannes moment. I totally forgot it had happened.
You know, I worked in Monte Carlo.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's a film that I was doing with Joan Collins and George Hamilton. Anyhow, we were in Monte Carlo. We're doing a film named Monte Carlo. And we were staying in Nice at the time. And I'll never forget a couple of things that happened on that film. Every time lunchtime came around, George would disappear. And he'd go off to the casino, as it turned out. He would be gambling his per diem. You know, per diem, what they give you on location, so you have spending money. He'd come back with both pockets of his tuxedo full of chips. He was a killer, kick-ass card player. So I thought that was pretty cool. But one thing I'll never forget, it was a night shoot, and George and I are on top of this roof that's pretty steeped. You know, it's not like that. It's like that. And it's nighttime in in Monte Carlo, and the roof has got like moss and stuff on it. And it's midnight, and it's kind of damp out, you know. This sucker's slick. And I'll never forget sitting up there, and I said to George, I said, "Hey, George, what are we doing up here?" He said, "I don't know, man, but I don't like it." I thought, okay, I'm not alone, you know. But yeah, that was my experience in Monte Carlo.
I really wanted to make movies, and I wanted to play guitar because of the movie The Buddy Holly Story. And I really didn't understand that much about filmmaking or what the whole process was like, because I think many of us did and still do to some extent, as great as many performances are, and as was Gary Busey's performance in The Buddy Holly Story, you really give a lot of the credit to the actor. You kind of discount the writing and the directing and the camera work and all that to some extent. I mean, so Gary Busey was this huge influence for that movie. I ended up in the theater by myself, like in the days before cell phones. If you missed each other, you missed each other.
Right.
I just chose the movie. I said, that guy with the guitar looks cool. I'd never heard of Buddy Holly. And I went in there, saw the movie, and as it ended, and it's this great freeze frame when we learned that Buddy Holly died in that plane crash.
Right.
And I touched my cheeks, and I noticed there was tears coming down my face.
Yeah.
I looked around to make sure nobody was seeing me.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'd like to do this for a living, you know, play guitar, make movies, that'd be cool. So jump many years later, and I'm pretty active in the business, and I'm getting some pretty steady acting work from our friend Andrew Stevens' company.
Yeah.
And he knew I was a Gary Busey fan, and he was making a movie with Gary Busey. And he said, you know, rumor has it he's not the greatest guy, but there's this role perfect for you. Whatever that scene is, I don't know if it's the Marines or the Air Force, where they put the pin on you, like they...
Yes, they jam it right in your skin.
Yeah, and he's doing it down the line, and then to the last guy, which was going to be me, there was like a one-line exchange. And I said, oh, that'd be amazing, you know? Thanks so much. So I got there early because I wanted to watch him work, and I got into wardrobe, as were the same wardrobe like 20 other extras were or whatever. And I brought the original Buddy Holly poster that I had since I was a kid.
Right.
It was under my arm. And they broke for lunch, and I'm kind of sitting there with the poster, and he walks right by me. I'm like, well, oh, that's okay, you know, no big deal. So he went up to his trailer, and then I just sort of decided, well, I'm going to hang out by his trailer, you know, not by the door, not quite stalking, but hanging out, and maybe he'll just start talking to me. I don't want to interrupt him. He's in character. I don't know what's going on. So I kind of back there, he walks right up to him, and he goes, hey, what do you got there? And I said, well, actually, Mr. Busey, it's the original poster from the Buddy Holly Story. He said, oh, that's neat. Walks away. Anyway, then it's lunchtime. Then it's lunchtime. And the producer, Andrew, shows up. And he had this funny thing that him and Jim Wynorski used to do. Whenever they would see me, no matter, even if like we were in Milan at MeFed or wherever, if I was 200 yards away, they would scream, Dick Gabai! They were the only people like I was a game show host from the 60s. Like I would be Dick Gabai. Yeah. You know? And they would always scream it. So Andrew screams Dick Gabai, comes and gives me a big hug. He was always a friendly guy. He'd been great to me. And I could see out of the corner of his eye, Gary's like watching. Oh, you know, maybe this guy's, I'm thinking to myself that Gary's thinking, oh, maybe this guy's a little important, or maybe, you know, so whatever. Then I kind of hear him holding court, and he just seems like a boisterous kind of guy, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to ask him again anyway, you know. Then I got a call from my agent who says, you know, you went in last week for this four national commercials for Dr. Pepper. It's like a $100,000 job. It's down to you and 3 other guys. You got to be there at 2 o'clock. And like we had lunch at 12:30 or something. And I said, you know, it was a one-day gig for like $500 or whatever it was at the time. And I said, versus taking a chance to maybe make $100,000.
Right.
So I went up to Andrew and I said, you know, you're right. I don't think he's the greatest guy in the world. Why don't you give my line to one of these other guys? I'm going to go try and get this other job. He's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So I get out of my costume. I wipe off my face. I walk by the makeup girls who I've done like 10 other movies with. They're like, oh, hey, Richard, come give us a hug. Oh, you know, good luck. I walk in there and I have the poster under my arm. and Gary's in the chair. And he goes, "You still got that poster?" And I said, "Yeah, I was kind of hoping you'd sign it for me." And he said, "Well, I'm a little busy right now." So I held it back. I said, "Mr. Busey, I just wanted to let you know that Buddy Holly's story made me want to be an actor, made me want to be a director, made me want to learn how to play the guitar. To whatever extent you contributed to that, thank you very much." And I left. I went to do the commercial audition, me and the same few guys I would always see, Jim Hanks and David Naughton got the job, by the way. David Naughton.
Okay.
Remember him?
Yeah.
I ruined the story, but I go to the audition. I go to the audition. I come home. I go to the audition. I come home. There's like my answering machine. To those younger people in the audience, we used to have answering machines with tape, and they would flash lights if you had a message.
Yes.
If you had an expensive one, it had a number, but mine just would flash lights.
Yes.
So I do it. It rewinds a really long time. So I'm thinking, okay, I got the job. Then wardrobe called me. Then the ADs called me.
Right.
Then, "Hi, this is whatever. I'm the AD on whatever that movie was called. Gary won't come out of his trailer until he signs your poster." So they literally, they sent a messenger to my house to pick up the poster. They brought it to him on set. He signed it and he wrote, "Talk to people that knew me. Dear Richard, keep playing your heart with your music. Love, Gary Busey." Messengered it back to me, and it's hanging in my hallway now. We'll take a picture of it for the show. And then it comes back to me, and the messenger's like, "Call Gary right now. Here's the phone number." I call him. "Richard, it's Gary." "Hi, Gary. Do you have your poster back?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you like what I wrote?" I said, "Yeah, thank you very much." He said, "Okay, I'm going to go back to work now."
Wow. That is a tremendous story.
It's long, I know, but it's...
No, but it's so great. I
it's
mean,
like,
the fact that he's over here at the beginning, then he starts to notice you getting some attention, and it just till all the way over to this
but
side.
after that, he was like, "I'm in the makeup trailer with him holding the poster. I have a
Whack.
poster. I was kind of hoping you'd sign it for me. I'm a little busy right now." That's exactly what he said. And the makeup girl looked at me like, what planet are we living in?
You know, I did this show called King of the Nerds for TBS, Curtis Armstrong and I. And when we took the first meeting on that show, we met Ben Silverman and 5x5 Media. And Ben Silverman was like a CEO of Rupert Murdoch. It might be the other very famous and wealthy older guy who owns 20th Century Fox, that guy. And we go into this incredible building on Sunset Strip, and we go in there, and we're talking to these guys, and we're trying to figure out what it is. And this one guy from 5x5 Media, he keeps saying, "It's a competition. It's a competition. It's a competition." Because we couldn't figure out what the show was going to be. And another guy sitting there said, "Hey, you know the home where the nerds live? We'll call that Nerdvana." Everybody thought that was hilarious, Nerdvana, right? Anyhow, the meeting just went absolutely great. And we get outside of the building, and Curtis Armstrong turns to me and he says, "You know, Bobby, that is absolutely the best pitch meeting I've ever been a part of." I said, "Man, that is so cool." So we went on to do the show, and we got some real, genuine nerds. One of them was Danica McKellar.
Right, our friend.
Yeah, I mean, she's a doctor of math. And I mean, she was on the show judging our nerds that want to be the biggest and best nerd. And then we had Mia Bialik. You know Mia Bialik from...
Yeah, she's like an astrophysicist or
Yes,
something?
yes, absolutely.
Neurophysicist?
Neurophysicist.
Something
some
really
kind
smart.
Yeah, really smart. And I think there was a scene on a red carpet where one of the dumb blondes, no offense to blondes, but one of them says to her, "How do you handle all that dialogue, you know, about, you know, science and all that stuff?" And she goes, "Well, I'm a neuroscientist." And then she goes, "Oh. Okay, we're over here." I mean, it was really these people. But anyhow, King of the Nerds was great. Those girls were great. We had real PhDs and doctors.
Well, I have one quick one to wrap this up because it's pretty fun. We're going to do this again and again and again.
That'll be addendum part 3.
But I made a movie called 180, which was released as Imaginary Friend, and one of the stars was the late great Paul Sorvino, who everyone loves from Goodfellas. and then all of his work, and he's also an opera singer, right? And one of the fun things was my dad, who was a huge fan of Sorvino, I invited him to the set one of the days he worked, and my parents came, and Paul stood up and he was singing arias and all that sort of stuff. And he was playing a lawyer in the movie, but you can't kind of get away from the type you feel he's playing.
Yeah.
So on the second day, and you cannot make this up, he came to me and Mike Amato, who is my producer, my partner on several movies, a great guy, and he says, listen, can you pay me in cash in a paper bag? And of course, we thought he was joking, right? I mean, Paulie comes up to us and says, can you pay me in cash in a paper bag? And we're like, kind of scared, like, okay. He goes, it's kind of how I need it. And I don't know if he had a divorce or whatever, and he goes like, what? And then I learned that I guess he was on the books for scale and then his fee. So and Amato's Italian too, so anyway, I said, I got to go with you, and you bring him this paper bag. So when he wrapped on the third day, I don't remember exactly what it was at the end of the day, goes with a paper bag. Giving Paulie a paper bag with cash.
Yeah.
Hand it to Paul, and he was a sweetheart, great guy. Takes the bag, and he goes, feels a little light. And then Mike, who's the sweetest guy, where he turns white, and he goes, no, you can count it. He goes, Mike, we're good.
That's a great story, man.
We're so blessed to have had these experiences, Bobby. We're going to do this again. This wraps up a top secret behind the scenes Hollywood Stories episode of the Party Nerds Podcast. I'm Richard Gabai, Robert Carradine. Please like and subscribe. We will see you next time.